Welcome back to the Relationships Made Simple for Men podcast with me, Bryce Bauer. And today I've got my wife here, Jenny Morrow, and I think we're going to start off by me just asking her some questions. We're on the couch downstairs, and we'll see where it goes from there. But I'm excited to talk to you, Jen.
Cool, me too, Bryce. Thanks for including me in your podcast today.
Yeah, you're welcome. We did have to work through some of my anxieties. I don't know about yours. Prior to this, I don't know. I can get kind of nervous. It feels like public speaking or something versus me being alone in my office and being able to pause and do all the things that I do to help me feel safe, and then being here. I'm glad we got to talk about that stuff and work through it.
Cool, me too.
Yeah.
That feels good. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe the first place we could start is I'm wondering for you, what do you think we do really, really well? Like, what have we worked on the most? Where have we seen the most progress? What do we do really well?
I think one of our best strengths as a couple is I think that, well, both of us individually, I think, really do love and trust the other person. So I think at the core, even though sometimes how you are or how I am might be triggering to the other person, like your needs might literally be the opposite of mine or vice versa at times. Like what helps your nervous system feel relaxed might be the opposite of what helps my nervous system feel relaxed at any given moment. And I think that we both do a really good job of trusting that the other person is like another person who's not trying to cause problems, who has needs just like each of us have needs. Like it's almost like we're able to extend our self-love out, and I feel like I've done a lot of work to practice seeing and loving you with as much grace and compassion as I see and love myself. And then sometimes it's flip-flopped, right? Like sometimes it's easier for me to love you and have compassion for you than it is for me to love myself. But to kind of see that they're really like two sides of one coin, or they're just mirrors of each other.
Right. Yeah, and you brought up something that caught my attention, which I think is true, and it can be hard to do, is to trust motives ultimately. Like even if you are trying to get your needs met, I think there's also a motivation to get my needs met. And if there's some stories that get inserted in the relationship, such as, I think this person is trying to control me, they're actually trying to hurt me, they actually don't care about me, that can cause a ton of damage. And I think it's taken a lot of time to actively look for that. Like, how might you be trying to help me and you at the same time? Where can I see the care and the love in what you're saying? Sometimes that can be feedback you're giving me. Sometimes it can be the tone that you're using. And I think that, there's something just really, special about that, because it is hard. Sometimes my brain wants to tell me that you are being selfish right now or something. And maybe you are for a little bit because you're activated, and so am I. But then there's also this mirror, maybe like you're saying with the love, that, the more, if I think that you're really entrenched in your position, it might also be true that you're doing that because I'm pretty entrenched in my position. Like I think I'm really right, and then I'm like, oh, I can't believe Jen, like she's not going to budge on this. So there's this equalizing thing that I think we ultimately do when we resolve issues, which is like, I think because there is a lot of respect between us, I start to see the similarities in what we're doing. Like if I don't feel like you're really caring about me in any given moment, it could also be true that you're experiencing the same thing on your end. And so that is something that I can go back to and focus on, is like, oh, am I showing up enough for Jen so that she feels cared about me? And yeah, either way, the more, basically. So the more that I can soften and listen and validate the more I do feel like I get that back from you. And it's not always immediate. I think that's the tough thing about relationships is like, well, if I just change my tone now, can you immediately change your tone and everything will be better?
Totally.
But sometimes it takes a little bit of time, a little bit of work and patience.
That seems really true. And I liked when you used the word motives because I've been trying to think like, what is the word? It's like, it feels like we trust each other's. And that was it. When you said motives, I'm like, that was the word I've been looking for. It's almost like over time we've been able to work through things enough to see that we both care about not only our own needs, but we both care about the other person's too. And like you said, sometimes it doesn't immediately happen that we figure out both simultaneously. But it's like, I trust that you will come back to it or stay with it long enough to not only figure out what you need and want and how to get those met, but also what I'm needing and wanting and how to integrate that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I agree that that's one of the things we probably do best or have really worked at the most. And
yeah. What do you think we've done to like cultivate that over time more and more?
Well, we've gotten a lot of support. We've received a lot of education, either pre our relationship and also during. And then there's an intentionality around it that I don't know when it really clicked for me, but it's been a while. We've been together 11 years, and I think it's evolved. But I mean, even in the last 5 or 6 years, I think I've been like, hey, like if I really want to make this relationship awesome with you, like I have to keep trying to come back to this and trust this, and then I see it work, and then that's good. Then I'm like, okay, there's something about what I'm doing here is working, and it is trusting your motives. And I realized like I could always get burned, but that's part of relationship, and you haven't burned me on that, and so I'm like, okay, I suppose the security is just built from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and I think we also do, there's this whole conflict resolution cycle where there's the lead up to it, there's the conflict itself, and then there's the repair. But then there's also, I think what we do is a lot of times revisit things like afterwards, sometimes the next day, or we're like, oh yeah, I think that was that one pattern we get into, which I think primes us to see things coming better down the road. So I don't know. I think we just have a lot of conversation about how we're doing, what's happening. And we have a lot of space for that too. That's why I don't think that other people should compare their relationship to ours, because we don't have kids, we don't have dogs. We set our life up in such a way that we have so much time to do this.
Yeah, I think that seems true.
Yeah.
That seems true.
Yeah. So on the flip side, what do you think is our biggest struggle, or some of our biggest struggles still?
Oh, good question. Let's see, our biggest struggle or some of our biggest struggles still. The first word that popped up when you asked, it just kind of popped up, was like sensitivity. There can be pros and cons of these qualities. I was going to say, I see sensitivity as a gift in a lot of ways, which I do, but I still have a lot of judgment around sensitivity. I still judge myself a lot when I'm sensitive about something. I might judge you if you're sensitive about something. And so I think when that happens, then I sometimes don't even catch the sensitivity. Like if I'm feeling sensitive about something and I judge myself about it, then I might not even catch that that's what's happening for me. Like a disagreement that came up yesterday around how to handle something with one of the couples retreats we have coming up. What I wanted to do was different than what you wanted to do, but I was having a hard time really owning what I wanted to do. I was having a hard time really being like, no, this is just what I want, and like it feels really important to me. Instead, I kept trying to explain why I wanted it and trying to defend why I wanted it to be done this way. which was tricky because then you came up with all of these reasons why that didn't really make sense.
Yeah.
Like my explanations didn't make sense, or were like, maybe they made sense, but they also like contradicted other things.
Yeah. I have a compulsive nature to point that out.
Yes. Yes.
Can be very analytical.
Yes.
Yeah. And even if your reasons they do make sense, but I don't know, sometimes my brain is like, well, but I guess it doesn't really matter because or something, or
Totally.
it doesn't. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we can get into that. That's one of our patterns is you, if I'm understanding it right, or this is how I'm seeing it, is you might be trying to speak from, there's an emotional thing that's happening called a sensitivity. It just, something feels better
Yeah,
about
it's like,
option A or option B. And then I'm like, but you're giving me logic. And I'm like, okay, let's go to the logic. And if I start to chip away at that, then you can feel more anxious. And sometimes I'm confused because I'm like, well, this seems like we're having a logical conversation.
yep.
And not that I don't have feelings during it. I'm not saying that I'm emotionless the whole time, but yeah, like what gear to be in, maybe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Do you feel like it would have made a difference? Like I'm thinking about yesterday, if I would have just said, I'm noticing as we're talking about this, I really do want this option most. And I could try to explain all my reasonings, but they may not logically make sense. I think it's just just like the desire I'm having.
Well,
That made a difference or not really?
I'll take a moment to think about it. And I do think that I had my own sensitivity about it. You know, it was about money, whether to spend more or less, nicer, less nice, you know. And I think that there was going to be some sensitivity for me there either way.
Okay.
I think if you were to say, if I'm thinking about the perfect response that might have gone best for me, I think if you were to say that, I don't know why, but right now this is just what I want. This is the option that I want. And I know there might be reasons that it doesn't make sense, but I that's just where I'm at with it right now. And we don't have to make a decision right now, but that's just where I'm at. I think I would have been, it would have given me some pause. And I would have, again, it would have engaged maybe that gear, that emotional gear more. But who knows? I mean, I might have started asking you questions and it might have gotten to the same place.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to know that may have helped or it may not have.
Yeah, I don't know that, we'll do that sometimes, think about what the perfect response would have been, just more as an experiment.
Yeah.
Like, here's what would have worked for me. And I do realize that it's not ever going to be perfect. Like, we're not ever going to run into conflicts. Yeah, I don't think there's a way to eliminate some of these conflicts and sensitivities. Maybe we have to go through it to understand it more, and it doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
Right. That seems very true. Yeah, because I think that's where, and I kind of feel myself take a deep breath because I'm like, oh yeah, that's where I come back to, like, I think you and I are both really sensitive. And sometimes those sensitivities like start touching each other.
Yeah.
And it's hard to like slow way down and like be with that and talk about what's underneath the sensitivities. What are the fears underneath it? Because I think we got there like yesterday, but it kind of took a while. Yesterday felt like it took a little while for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we're at a disadvantage sometimes because I don't understand all the pressures that are on me at all times. Because even as you say, oh, we could have slowed it down. And I'm like, well, I also wanted to book a place, right? Like they're not going to be there forever. So there's that pressure.
Yeah.
That's there, and probably other things too. So yeah, I agree with you generally that slowing it down could be helpful, and maybe this is where sometimes we can be different too, where maybe you noticed this yesterday where I'm like, well, all right, well, let's just book what you want, and it's almost like what might help me is like make a decision,
Right.
and then I kind of relax a bit more, and then we
Right.
can talk about it. Like either one was going to be fine. It's not.
Yeah.
It wasn't a huge deal.
Right.
So you might be like, let's slow it down, not make a decision, and that'll help my nervous system relax. I'm like, well, how about we just make a decision, and then my nervous system relax, and then we can talk about it if we need to or something. So I think that is maybe a thing that we might be different on sometimes.
And
that true?
Yeah, that's like a good example of one where I actually didn't have a problem with just making the decision, except I was feeling so much shame and guilt about it just being my way. For you, it might have felt better just to make a decision, and then which one you wanted was like secondary to that.
I wasn't even totally sure either, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
You know, I was feeling it out myself too, but it's like I didn't want to let go of a potential desire as I was feeling it out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I think when you said it wasn't super strong, the
Right.
opinion I had, because you brought up points, I think like I told you, I'm like, well, given your points, I can see it. So that's another complexity, right? Like it wasn't a binary, like I want option A and you want option B. I was like, like I'm not totally sure yet. And your opinion was influencing my opinion. And then I started to kind of side more with like, all right, you know, Jen's, that's fine, you know. And sometimes I wanted a decision to feel so good. So then I was a bit disappointed that this didn't feel good. It was like I'm kind of going with, I guess that's okay, versus like, I really feel good about this.
Right. That makes sense. And I was probably in a similar, well, it's probably one of those things where if I would have gotten on and taken care of the task by myself, because that was initially what I thought was going to happen, was I was going to get on and book the house, then I felt really pretty comfortable about the direction I wanted to go with it for this retreat. And then when you came forward and you're like, here's a few options, then I kind of got a little confused too. Like,
right.
Maybe one of those other options. And so, so then I'm a little bit confused. You're kind of like having your feelings. It was just a lot for some reason. I'm not sure why it was such a hard one yesterday.
Yeah, and that's maybe what I'm saying. Because it didn't feel that hard for me.
Yeah.
Actually, and this is sometimes maybe where some of our, I don't know if you want to call it tolerance differences come from too. Or sometimes you can be like, that was so hard. I'm like, didn't seem that hard.
Yeah, right.
Like
we weren't yelling at each other. We're not name calling. We don't do that.
No.
We just are having a difference of opinion and we're sharing our reasonings for our differences. But it just felt like it started to escalate energetically for me.
For you.
Where for you it wasn't as much.
No.
That's what you're saying, yeah. Yeah, it was weird. I don't know why yesterday's was so hard for me.
You were feeling a lot of shame and guilt, right?
Yeah, I think that's why it brought up a lot of shame and guilt.
Yeah, I don't think I was feeling shame about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Not saying that that's not down in there deep somewhere.
Yes.
But that wasn't something I was aware of. Yeah, and I don't know if I'm just doing the guy thing, saying like I was pretty confused by it. There was fear. There was fear there. That it wouldn't feel good for you, wouldn't feel good for me, and we'd feel disconnected. That's true. But I don't think I was feeling shame about it in the way you were.
No, it didn't seem like you were. Yeah. Which is nice that we weren't both feeling that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's why it felt bigger for you. It felt, that can be like an existential feeling of not good enough.
Yes. Oh yeah, I think it definitely touched into that part for me,
right.
Of what I'm wanting or my opinion or what I'm feeling strongly about somehow is the opposite of your need or want or desire or something. That's the story in my head. The story in my head is what I'm wanting or needing or desiring or my opinion is somehow the opposite of Bryce's. And therefore, if we end up doing it my way, well, yeah, maybe I get what I want and need, but then you don't. And that then I am like, don't feel good about myself as a person.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense, Jen. Yeah. And even though this is a podcast and we're consciously, revisiting this in a way, we might have had this conversation anyways on the couch.
Yeah.
About
Totally.
it. And even though I don't feel like I totally understand your experience with that, like maybe I understand it 10% better or something.
Oh, yeah.
That if I don't get what I want, you feel like you've said maybe like you're a bad person,
Yeah.
a bad wife,
Not a good wife.
If I don't get what I want. It's like ton of conditioning there. Versus I don't know that I have that some generally, but mine is a little bit different. I would say when and this is maybe where it's not so much like I do feel like you get a lot of what you want and I try to make that happen.
Yeah.
Mine is maybe more when you're feeling disconnected or nervous around me. And again, I don't know if that's shame or like, I don't know, just a feeling of disconnection. Like I don't like that feeling. And we've talked about how yours can be more of a being state anxiety, and mine can be more of a doing state. And there can be anxiety that I'm not doing the right moves to help you feel safe or relaxed or really get what you want. But I don't know, this is an ongoing topic of like, where do I, if I do feel shame in our relationship, because in contrast to you, I'm like, you'll say things and I'll be like, I can't relate with that.
Yeah.
In the same way.
Yeah, it's interesting because as you're saying it, I even feel like a little bit of emotion. Like I notice my eyes starting to water a little bit. And I just feel like a lot of compassion for all of a sudden for both of us. I'm like seeing the two of us dancing and, hitting a bump and then maybe this is where the sensitivity piece comes back in, where I think we're both really sensitive to disconnection, or I can be really sensitive if I'm perceiving we're not both getting our needs met or both getting what we want, or you can feel really sensitive to like disconnection with me. And
yeah,
and it's interesting because I can see how that can both be hard because of the triggers it can create, but I'm like, I feel like a lot of love and compassion for those parts of us in this moment. Yeah. I think that's like a lot of what motivates us to understand ourselves and each other more deeply.
Yeah. When I was just thinking there, one theory is that like earlier on in my life, I think I did feel a lot of shame, like feeling suicidal as a teenager and totally screwing up my life, and that was shame for sure. Like I had, because of things I was doing, like I was hurting other people, lying, just making a mess of my life to where I didn't feel like I was either worthy or belonged or was ever going to, live a good life or be happy again. That feels very much like shame. So I don't know, maybe comparatively, like I'm like, oh, we're trying to decide on a retreat house for our business. I'm
between two good options.
I mean, it seems such low stakes that I don't like. Shame doesn't come into the equation for me, and I don't know if that's a past experience thing.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, I wonder too. I wonder for me, because when I think about my past was so much more oriented that, like, if I was dating someone or I was interested in a man and he wanted something, I just went with what he wanted. Like I wouldn't have like gone out of my way to be like, oh no, I want this thing that's different. So I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I'm just thinking about how now
we have the whole religious component, like your ticket into the highest kingdom of heaven comes through a man, marrying a man and staying sealed to a man, and you could even say, you can disagree if you want, but making him feel happy, and that's like your ticket. That's your eternal ticket right there. So if you were told that enough times as a girl, I imagine that was there. And I don't believe that way.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that the software isn't still in there.
Yeah, and I could see how, like, I definitely had a story that, like, for a man to love me and choose me, I had to make his life comfortable. I had to not cause hard feelings for him. Like, if I caused hard feelings, then why would he love me or choose me?
Right.
And that's probably kind of the core of the fear still of the shame. Like, when I think about shame, it is interesting how often I go back to, like, it is a story. It's like a reflection that I'm believing I'm fundamentally flawed, but it's not just connected to that. It's connected to that in reference to being able to create something I want. It's like I'm believing I'm fundamentally flawed, and therefore I cannot have the thing I want.
Right.
It's like in reference to the thing I want, which is to be loved or chosen or desired.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I think maybe the non-religious background and having two parents that were there for me in a lot of ways, like definitely had some misses emotionally, but still were there emotionally, and then for sure physically. And I don't know, I just don't know where that story would have been ever inserted that I wasn't worthy. Like, I was firstborn son, my dad thought I was the greatest, so did my mom, I think. So I just don't remember that ever being inserted as like who I was is faulty. When I felt like I wasn't living up to that by what I was doing, then that felt like a crisis that I didn't know how to solve and get out of.
That's really interesting.
But the core of who I was like, again, it was like more about what I was doing. I'm like, why am I not doing what I think I'm capable of? Because I am, worthy of these things, but there was a huge disconnect. But I don't know, once I got sober, once I was like, again, doing things that were improving my life, and I was getting to do things that I wanted to do, all of a sudden I'm like, there was an alignment there. Like, oh yeah, of course, I'm so glad. I hoped that I would be able to do this.
That just makes a lot of sense. Knowing your worth was there, but the ability to enact behaviors that seemed aligned with that was like the struggle. I suddenly felt curious, like, because I can be kind of the opposite, where I look back on my past, I'm like, I felt like my actions were very aligned with like my inner sense of the worth I wanted to experience in myself.
Right.
But I had a hard time feeling the experience of worth inside myself, and still do sometimes. So for you, what feels like it created that disconnect between the two? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was a combination of things, but more than anything, when we moved from Michigan to Arkansas when I was almost 12, it was extremely traumatic, and I don't think I recovered from it. Like, we moved to, I had a few close friends. I was a quiet kid. We had woods behind our house. I had a dog. My dog ran away right before we moved, never saw it again, that I grew up with. They didn't have wrestling in Arkansas. I was used to being around other kids and doing sports all through the year. And I just got super depressed. Like, my dad went from working in the house to working outside the house, working a lot. So it was traumatic. It was so jarring, I think, for me. Coming into puberty as well, there could have been hormonal things too, but within weeks, I think I was severely depressed after moving, and didn't have any friends and didn't know how to make friends. And I don't think my parents knew what to do. My dad I just don't have a lot of memories of him then, because he was working. And I think my mom was probably depressed. She had the same situation. She moved to Arkansas. We didn't know anybody there. So it was kind of like me and my mom in the house, depressed. My sister was like pretty social butterfly. She found a neighbor pretty quick, had the same name, Blair. They were the Blairs. But I was just fucking lonely. And I think it was very traumatic. And then I didn't have I didn't have an attunement to that. I didn't have any help with that. Not that my parents wouldn't have been available to do that, but I couldn't communicate what was happening. So quickly my mind started to spin in my head. It went like, I don't like this, to just getting worn out, to feeling numb. And then from numbness, like, I think that's why a lot of men struggle with depression and even can feel suicidal, because once you get to like a numb place where you're not feeling anything and everything looks black and white, it's almost like you become an object within like some type of cartoonish world that's not real or something. And then it might even make sense that, why am I even here?
Because it doesn't feel real anyways. And
it doesn't, nothing feels good about this. It either feels bad or nothing. And so I think a logical conclusion is like, well, how can I get out of this? Mm-hmm. And again, I don't think the prefrontal cortex is online as much. When people are thinking like that, they're just living in their fight or flight, freeze response, or as I was. So I was, very much in some type of freeze state where it's just disassociated, and then, the thought creeps in, and I don't have defenses against it. I don't have a way to say, no, that's just how you're feeling right now, or I didn't have a way to think to go talk to somebody and like, here's how I'm really feeling, and to get support in that way and connection. So, once that happened over the course of a few months, it's just super disconnected. And the interesting thing that I think really saved me was that I was like, well, maybe I'll just go for it. I'll like be a new person. So at school, I started hanging out with the kids who were troublemakers, because there was like a resonance in like the pain. I had a lot of friends from troubled homes and broken families, and that were already getting in trouble in school. And I just started having so much fun all of a sudden. I remember the first time, like in 6th grade, I threw a eraser across the room, and like all the kids laughed, and that was just like, from then on, I was like, whoa, interesting. Like, if I hang out with these kids and do what they're doing and do a few crazy things, like I get other kids' attention, that feels good. Mm-hmm. Feels like I belong, feels like I'm important, I'm funny. And then this whole character kind of got created. So, I mean, you've heard this story before, but yeah, that's interesting. And, that led me down a different path, but that's kind of how it went.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, how does it feel in this moment to talk about it?
Oh, good. It's interesting to me. My life story is interesting to me. It feels like it's like, because it is me, sometimes it's like the most interesting book I've ever read. And I like, it's like popping open a page of it, mm-hmm. and reading it again and being like, oh yeah, that was me. That was crazy, Mm-hmm. And interesting, mm-hmm. to see where I've come from. So I'd say it's fun. Yeah,
I was imagining like when I used to go to the Children's Museum as a young girl, I loved going to the bone excavation area where you'd like dig for the bones, and then like, I don't know, for some reason also I was imagining that, like you're excavating your history a little bit.
Yeah.
And looking at what was there and what had built, what has happened, and
yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because I realized that it helped to start off as this me interviewing you, but then like it's become more of a conversation. But I did want to think of another question for you. And I think the question is, like, when you're, because I don't always understand the female experience as well as you do. Like, where do you think women get stuck the most in relationships? What do you see the most, and how do you help women with that?
Yeah, so what I see, and I don't know that this is this, if we were to take all, however many billion people are on the earth now, how many is it?
Like 8?
8. If we took all like 8 billion people and about half of those are women, like what's true for all women, I don't know. But I do feel like in my little realm of world, that with clients I see and women I observe and friends and myself, what's the biggest struggle? Did you say relationally or just in general?
Either one.
What was your question though initially? I'm curious.
I think it was, what do you see the most with women? What are their struggles and how do you help them?
Yeah. So probably I would say the word self-trust is popping up. I see a lot of women struggle to like deeply trust themselves. Like a lot of women, it seems like, whether it's a biological thing or conditioning or some mix of the two, there just seems to be an outsourcing of authority, really. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing. Like some kind of an outsourcing of authority mixed with wanting to be a good person. And I think that is somehow like, seems somehow intertwined with safety as well. So I see just a lot of women who I think grew up really believing they were going to be taken care of by a man, probably, and want to experience some kind of like feminine, masculine, energetic balance, if that makes sense, where there's like, where they feel like they can receive care, receive protection, receive support.
Right, which I could see sounds nice.
Totally. And then there's also, and then I think too, it's like, I think there can be a little bit of confusion for women because I think they really want to receive that. And then they also want to give it, you know, like they also want to give love and give care. Like I know women who feel like they're maybe receiving it, but they aren't reciprocating it back. Like they don't feel the desires back. And that can actually be quite distressing for women too. But there's something around trusting themselves that seems like how to slow down. And maybe this even connects to what I was talking about earlier with our situation yesterday, where instead of a woman trusting her feelings, her thoughts, her body sensations, not as like, stand up for a minute.
Yeah, it's just a very uncomfortable position. I have to untwist my back.
I'm going to untwist my legs. But I can just keep chatting. Are you good with that? Yeah, so there's something around women feeling like they have to explain themselves. Like I see that a lot with women. Mm-hmm. And when I say trust their feelings and their thoughts, I'm not saying believe all of your feelings and believe all of your thoughts just as they are, but like to trust that there's something in there that is important. Like your thoughts and your feelings are revealing something about your inner world and your desires. And if you can learn to work with those in that way and to trust that like your inner world and your desires are safe. They're safe. They don't cause you problems. They don't cause people around you problems. They're not bad. I think if women can really learn how to do that.
What if it does though? What if desires do cause problems? I mean, on the surface.
Right. Yeah. So I think if your true authentic desire causes problems, then I would say the problems it's causing are more that is breaking down egos of people around you. And that can be called problems, right. But I think in the long run, it provides a lot of opportunity for growth.
You're saying that it creates a bit of a filter that people that can't really hold and acknowledge and honor your desires, like those people might end up leaving your life.
Totally.
Right.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that can be hard with personal development, relational development. Is like if you are growing, it's inevitable that you're gonna have to let some relationships go people that don't want to grow with you, and that's especially hard if that's your spouse or a good friend or some other family member. But yeah, I've experienced that, and it can be confusing. Like, oh, why don't you want to try to work this out? And just some people don't. But also on the flip side, different people can come into your life that can meet you there, and hopefully that's a partner.
Yep.
And I wonder if I'm just going off on my own
I'm
thing.
curious.
But yeah, I do wonder if women are raising the bar a bit. Like part of that process is like raising the bar, and when they find, I mean, I hear this from the single women that I work with, like they don't feel like a man can meet them there, and they're still single, and it can be frustrating, confusing. Like, where are all the relationally developed men at? And I think they're out there, but it's not the majority. It doesn't seem.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more limited,
Yeah.
and it can feel more lonely.
I think that's true. And when you said that, I got goosebumps when you said, I think women are raising the bar. I'm like, I think that is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you see what happens when, like, if you really want to lower the bar, it's not hard to find a partner. I don't think, it's, there's plenty of people out there that will, if you're like, oh yeah, I don't have needs, and I'll just try to give you what you want. Like, there's a lot of people out there that would sign up for that. But if you're like, no, I want to learn how to have a really growth-oriented relationship where we're learning together, receiving support together, really facing our fears in big ways, then yeah, I think that's going to freak a lot of people out. And in fact, I don't think a lot of men even get what that means, because that's something I hear from men. Like, it just seems like you're asking for a lot. You're asking for more, but what is that thing? And I've used my podcast to try to explain that more. That there are some very simple things that apply. And then, yeah, just really being on the journey, having that mindset, you're willing to be on the journey of learning is more than anything the thing that I think women want. But if you give up or shut down, then yeah, I don't think that's going to work for people.
And Bryce is talking about his podcast, Men in Marriage. So if you haven't listened to that, you can
It's
find
Relationships Made Simple.
Oh, that's right. Your
for
book
men.
is called Men in Marriage.
My book is called Men in Marriage.
Relationships Made Simple for Men is the podcast.
Exactly.
I love that you're doing that for men. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a good question.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Does this feel like a good place to wrap
Feels
it up?
really good. Feels
Okay.
perfect.
Any announcements?
If you're interested in coaching, private coaching as an individual with either Bryce or I, or you can meet with both of us, meet with him sometimes, me sometimes, whatever. If you're interested in individual coaching or couples coaching. So for couples coaching, we do our coaching together, the two of us with the two of you. And then, or if you're interested in a retreat, Bryce has a men's retreat coming up here pretty soon. So
Yep, September 25th
September
to 28th.
Yep. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to link our websites below so you can contact us, set up an initial discounted session if you're interested in coaching. We also do private couples retreats. And so there's a lot of options. I'll link the website in the show notes. And anything else from your end?
No, I think that's it. Good
Cool.
chat today, Jen.
You too, Bryce. Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.